All right. So everybody is focused and attentive. Gabriella, cue. Everybody's focused. Well, we're going to do practice test 3 right now. Here we go. Find the vertex, axis of symmetry, and direction of opening for these 3 problems. Or 2 problems. So we have that one, and we have this one. Guys, come on. Galen, turn around, please. Get everybody quiet. Here we go. How am I going to do this? How am I going to find the vertex, axis of symmetry, and direction of opening? Negative b over 2a. So, x equals negative b over 2a. What's 2 times a half? 1. So x is 4. So in the axis of symmetry blank, you're going to write x equals 4. Which means for the vertex, it's going to be 4 comma something, right? And to find the something, we will plug in 4.
Yeah.
So 4 squared, remember we always square first. 16 times a half, 8. Minus 4 times 4, plus 2. So 8 minus 16 is negative 8, plus 2 would be negative 6. Which way does it open? Up. Okay? Now guess what? We're going to do it again. Same thing. Plus x equals negative b over 2a. So this axis of symmetry is x equals negative 6?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
So x is negative 6?
Yep.
Let's put it in. 36
72.
minus 72. Remember, you're putting in a negative, so it's minus 72 minus 4. 36 minus 72 is negative 36 minus 4 is negative 40. You're exactly right.
Yes, I know.
And this one also opens up because the number in front is a positive 1. Okay? Got it. All right, number 2. Which are polynomials? If not, why not? Okay, now just time out. Let's go through one at a time. So, is A a polynomial? No. Because it has an x in the denominator. It has an x in the denominator. Brandon, can you try to stay awake, please?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to try to do real well. B, is B a polynomial? No. Because there is a
Negative
exponent. Sam says that C is a polynomial.
Yeah.
Is he right?
Yes.
Sam is right. There's nothing wrong with C. C is a yes. How about D?
Yes.
That's a yes. That's a yes also. No rules broken there. And what about E?
No.
No, because there is an x under the radical. So one more time, our 4 rules are no x under the radical, no x in the denominator, no fractional exponents, no negative exponents. Okay? All right, change to vertex form by completing the square. All right, so there's a series of steps we need to go through, but we've done this a lot, so we got it, just one thing at a time. What do you think we ought to do? Divide everything by 4. So we have y over 4, and we know eventually we're going to multiply and get rid of that, right? Eventually. So right now we're just holding it over here. X squared minus 2x plus 3. Now the directions say complete the square. So you know you have to find a number that will make this a perfect square, right?
Right. Oh,
But you can't, 3 is not the number. I need to get rid of the 3. So I'm gonna bring it over here. Oops, bring it over. And now I'm gonna add the right number. And how am I gonna figure out the right number?
Divide by 2.
Divide this by 2 and square it. So half of 2 is 1, squared is 1. So I'm going to add a 1 to both sides. Then immediately I'm going to write this as a perfect square. So what perfect square will that be? X minus 1. And that equals y over 4 minus 2. Because I can add these 2 together. Now let's put things back so y is by itself again. So we'll add 2. And we will multiply by 4. So y equals 4 parentheses plus 8. Don't forget to multiply this plus number by 4 too. And that's vertex 1. Okay? All right, wait, I'm on the wrong page. Here we go. Write the equation of the linear function where f of 1 is 3 and f of 2 is 9. Now this is going to be a linear function, which means a line, right? And to do lines, you gotta have slope. So we're going to start by maybe thinking of these as ordered pairs. It only takes a second to write that down, and that might make it easier for you to keep track of y's and x's. So slope will be 9 minus 3 over 2 minus 1.
So 6.
So 6 over 1 or 6.
Yeah.
Are we done?
No.
No. Now we have to actually write the line. So we'll do, pick a point. Y minus 3 equals 6, x minus 1. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1, right, everyone? Yep. So y minus 3 equals 6x minus 6, and y equals 6x minus 3. And that is your line. By the way, I worked on your final exam yesterday, and that question is on it.
That very question?
Well, I'm sure the numbers are different, but yes, that question is on the exam. But it's also on the test you're taking Friday. So that's our first worry. We gotta get that one out of the way first. Okay, next. Write the equation of the quadratic function whose vertex is here and who contains the point 2, 3. Now, this is a different problem. Do not find the slope. This is a quadratic function. What does quadratic mean? X squared. What's the shape of an x squared? A parabola, not a line, no slope. It is a parabola, which means it looks like this, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And in an equation that looks like that, can't you see that the vertex is 1, 8? Right 1, up 8?
Yeah.
So work it backwards. If this is the vertex, what does that equation have to look like? X plus 1 minus 2, x plus 1 squared, minus 2. That's the vertex. Now what's that other point for though? What is that doing? I'm going to plug it in. And when I plug it in, I'm looking for what? That guy. Right? Because this number doesn't have anything to do with the vertex, does it?
Nope.
So when I know the vertex, I only know that part. I need another method, another step to find that number. So I'll put in 3 and 2, 3 for y, 2 for x. So 3 equals n times 2 plus 1 squared minus 2. 2 plus 1 is 3 squared is 9. Don't subtract 2. That 9 is hooked to the n. That's 9n minus 2. You see that? Don't make it 7. That would be wrong. So now we'll add 2 and divide by 9. Is that what I'm going to put in the answer box? No, I got to put it back in the equation because, oops, I want that one. The direction said write the equation. So there it is. Well, speaking of writing equations, we're going to do it again. Only this one is not a parabola. This is some kind of polynomial. And once again, I didn't label my intercepts. I'm sorry. What will my factors be? Plus 2.
X plus 1.
Plus 1.
X minus 2.
Minus 2. Everybody okay with those? Now, the only numbers that get the parentheses like that are the dots on the x-axis. So I know there's another dot in the problem, but it is not a factor. We're going to do something different with that one. You make factors from the x-intercepts. But before you take the next step, would you please look at your picture and see if any of these are squared? Are any of them squared? Just this one. Would you agree with me?
Yeah.
That one is squared. Look at the way the graph behaves. See how it is tangent? It bounces off there? That means it's a square. Okay, now what am I going to use that 0.1, 2 for? I'll plug it in because I'm still trying to find that mysterious coefficient, just like I was over here. So 2 equals n times 1 plus 2, 1 plus 1 squared, 1 minus 2. Plugging in 2 for y and 1 for all of the x's. Okay, so here we go. 1 plus 2, that would be 3. 1 plus 1 squared, that would be 4. And negative 1? So I got negative 12n. So n equals negative 1/6. Which I will then put in front here. Not here. Put it here. And that will be my equation. Gabriella? You okay?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Okay, we'll try to look alive and alert. Okay? All right, number 7. The height of a ball above ground at t seconds is given by this equation. All right, so I'm going to give you your equation. You don't have to even make it. It's right here, already done. Okay? Find the maximum height and the time it is reached. So maximum means vertex, and vertex means negative b over 2a. So x equals negative b over 2a. That reduces, yeah, did you say 3 halves?
Yeah.
All right, positive. You might need to do that in a couple of steps. He took 16 into both of them, and so it reduces to 3 halves. So I got this parabola, and now I know my vertex is at 3 halves, comma something. All right, let's do this. This is going to be easy. We got it. We're going to plug it in. So we have negative 16 times 3 halves squared plus 48 times 3 halves plus 2. Now do not freak out. What is 3 halves squared? 9 over 4.
We don't get a
You
calculator.
don't need one, look. 4 goes into 16. 4 times
Negative 36.
plus, we do the same thing here. 2 goes into there 24 times 72 plus 2. 38. I am not going to give you anything that is like 7/13 or something crazy. But guys, don't embarrass yourselves. You're seniors in high school, you can do 1/2. Halves you can do. I have total confidence in you. I appreciate the fact you like whole numbers. I like students who don't complain. Are either one of us going to get what we want? All right, what's the answer to the question?
3/2 seconds and 38 feet.
Exactly. The maximum height is 38 feet, and the time it reaches it is 3 halves, or 1.5 if you prefer 1.5 seconds. Remember that the vertex is always going to have 2 numbers. The first one is going to give you your t, your time, and the second one is going to give you your h, your height. Always. Always, always, always. All right, now we're going to do a synthetic division problem, and you're going to have to write down the quotient and the remainder, that's all. Just going to have to figure out what's the quotient, what's the remainder. So we'll do synthetic division. What goes in the box? A 1. Pay attention to -8, 0, 9, and -2. Kids, when you do synthetic division, if you are starting with x to the 4th, then you have got to have a spot for x cubed, x squared, x, and number. You have to have all of those in your synthetic division. So we had one missing, so we just fill in a 0. Okay? I think the one we did yesterday, or whenever we did it, I think it might have had 2 zeros in it. So just be on the lookout. Anything that's missing is going to get a 0. Okay, so now we're ready to divide. So 1 times 2, 1 times -6. All right, I got a 1 on the end. Double check that. You did too? What is that 1, by the way? This guy right here.
Remainder.
That's your remainder. Just put 1 in the remainder blank. Now what do you put in the quotient blank? This is going to be 2x to the 3rd. 1 less than the original problem. Then it goes down, just like we were talking about. So minus 6x squared minus 6x plus 3. Write down in order. 3, 2, 1, go X. And that's it. That's your quotient and your remainder. What? No, there's going to be an answer blank. You're going to put it right there in the answer blank. Okay. Notice on problem 9, list the possible rational roots. That means, after you get them listed, that means you're going to be guessing. Okay? If I'm asking you for the PRRs, you're going to have to use them. You're going to have to guess them, or guess one of them. So where are they in this problem?
Plus or minus 2 and 1.
Plus or minus 2 and 1 over 1.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's pretty easy. And there aren't many there. So those are the PRRs, so that's the answer to A. Now B says find the root, so I heard somebody say try 2. Seems we always try 2, which is fine. I think it's going to work, so it's a good choice.
Yes.
All right, where do I go from here?
1, x to the third, or x to squared,
This is going to be x squared.
plus 9x, plus 1.
Yep. So I'm going to look at that now. And what I would love to do with that is factor it, right?
But it doesn't factor.
But it doesn't. So when it doesn't factor, you need to use the quadratic formula. This has happened on every practice test. One problem, you had to use the quadratic formula. It's going to happen on Friday. So if you still don't know the quadratic formula, you need to get it learned. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Negative 9 plus or minus the square root of very good year. You graduated from high school, 1977. I know, I'm old, I know. That doesn't break down, so we're done. Now, what do I put a circle around, or what do I put in the answer blank if there is one? I put these guys right here, right? And I also put 2, x equals 2. These are the roots to the equation, the solutions to the equation. Don't forget about the one that you guessed. It's really easy to forget that. Don't forget about him. All right, x plus 2 is one factor of x cubed plus 12x squared plus 41x plus 42. Find the others. All right, how do we do that? Bingo. Kids, this is the same problem that you just finished, except over there you had to guess. Here you don't. They tell you. Here you go. You got one. So what are you going to put in the box? Negative 2. Remember, the number that you would graph on the x-axis is the same as the number in the box. So wouldn't we put a dot at negative 2?
Yep.
All right, so here we go. 1, 12, 41, 42. Now, I knew that was going to happen. I'm not excited about that. They told me this was a factor, so I knew I was going to get 0. I don't care about that part. What part do I care about? That right there. That's what I care about. So that's x squared plus 10x plus 21.
Breaks down into x plus 3 times x plus 7.
And those, my friends, are the answers. Because the question literally says, find the other factors. There they are. All right. Volume varies inversely as pressure. Is this going to be a K times X or a K divided by X? Divided. So volume varies inversely as pressure. If the pressure is 12, the volume is 5. Okay, so that makes K equal to 60. Find the pressure when the volume is 16. So I go back to my equation. It says find the pressure when the volume's 16, but now I know that K is 60. So I can solve that. How do I solve it? Move the P over. Guys, you always talk about how much you hate fractions. Get rid of them. Multiply by P, no fraction anymore. Get rid of it. Then you can see you're going to get a fraction back because you got to divide by 16. So those are both divisible by 2 and divisible by 2 again. So the answer would be 15/4. What if it had said pressure, or excuse me, volume varies directly as pressure? What would be different about my setup if volume varies directly?
It would be V equals KP.
Yeah, it'd be V equals K times P. Because that's how we do direct variation. Do I have another one to slip back there? You know what? Okay, we're gonna get, what if, you know, we're gonna get a new principal. What if the new principal starts walking by this room and he looks in? I got this one sound asleep, I got that one back there. Look at this. She had her head down. Guys, look at that, but she's concussed, so we'll let that go. Come on.
What about tech
Act
week?
like this is your favorite period of the day.
Can we get a tech week?
Remember when we had the like 80-minute period after lunch?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Here we go, number 12. Consider this problem, list the PRRs. Okay, we can do this again, you get points for it. List them, always use plus or minus. It'll be 8, 4, 2, and 1 over 1. Right?
Wait, how did you get that?
Somebody tell me.
Last value without like an X on it, you take that and find it.
Factors of last over factors of first. Now it says, let's find them.
2, 4. Why'd you give me that one?
Sam, so let's see.
Oh no, stop.
Sam said 2. I went with 2, hoping it didn't work because I don't want you to think 2 always works, but it seems to always work. But you might have a problem where it doesn't work. Now, are there other numbers that also work? Yes. Yes. So there isn't just one. There are others that you could find. All right. Where do I go from here? X squared minus 3x minus 4. Does that factor by chance?
Yes.
Yep. Kids, there's only one problem on the test that won't factor. And that's the one where you're going to use the quadratic formula, right? Now, can you use the quadratic formula all the time? Sure, sure. Okay, now this says, wait, find the factors in sketch. So tell me about the sketch here. Where do I know my x-intercepts are?
X plus 4.
I'll have 1 at 4.
-1.
I'll have 1 at -1.
And -2.
At +2. Remember, the dot goes whatever's in the box. That's the dot. Now, if I am building all of the factors, the factor for this dot would be x minus 2. There are your factors. So in the blank where it says find the factors, there they are, right there. Those are the factors that would give me these dots. REM squared. Connect the dots. Nice smooth curve. There you go. Nothing bouncing. All right. Am I?
Did you say?
It appears so.
I'll just make sure it's not like an Nope, I think it's one of those random.
Robocalls?
Yeah. All right, let's sketch it. We're almost done, kids. Shh, then we will have been through the whole test. Let's go. All right. How do I start? It says sketch this thing.
You cut -1.
I'm going to put my x-intercepts or my dots on my x-axis. You're right, Ashley, at -1 and 2. Now, guys, you know you've done enough of these. You're either going to come up like this, or you're going to come down like this. They're either coming from the bottom or you're coming in from the top. So in order to know, I need to count up how many x's I have. I have 4 x's. That is an even number. Under normal circumstances, evens start up here. But because of the negative, it's going to start down here. Okay, so it starts down here. As soon as I hit the point, I'm going to look up at my problem. That dot came from this parentheses, so it bounces back off.
Bounces off again.
That dot came from that parentheses, so it bounces back off again. Now, kids, once you have reached your last dot, don't curl it back up. There's nothing to connect it to up here. So it just shoots down. Okay? You don't have to bring it back. You can't. It doesn't touch anymore. Okay? Just down and done. All right. Factor and sketch. Now, does this is problem 14, does it say anything about PRRs? No. Could you do the PRRs and guess? Yes. But if I'm not asking you for them, you can actually group this. So if you would rather group it, you can do that. If you'd rather guess some numbers and do the division, you can do that. I'm going to go ahead and group it because it goes faster for me. But again, you can start guessing and dividing if that's the way you want to do it. If I group these, I can take out an x squared. And I can take out a -4. That's very good news because I have the same parentheses. And then I have x squared minus 4. What can you tell me about x squared minus 4? X plus 2, x minus 2. Whoa, 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 this is a little tricky. Do you notice something here? You have the same thing. So you have x plus 2 squared times x minus 2, which has graphical implications. There's only going to be 2 dots on the number line, right? Instead of 3, there's only 2. And we have -2 and 2. This was an x cubed, right? So it's going to start down. Now, that dot came from right here. There's 2 of them, so it's going to bounce down. That dot came from here, so it's just going to keep right on going. All right, yeehaw, done. That was the whole test. No, Sam, you cannot go now. What?
Story time.
We're not sleeping and we're not telling stories. Kids, we have a test on Friday. I don't see you again before then. So right, except unless you come to play. So right now, I would like someone in this class to tell me what kind of problem we need to practice another one of. Okay, so he wants to put one in vertex form. So let's say we have kids, this is not, you're not released. I need you to be attentive and respectful. We're doing this problem now. If you're going to do them on the desk, that's fine. Please use a regular rag eraser. And if somebody would like to do it on that sideboard over there, I'm good with that too. Yeah, you know what a board is. That board is not in the video, so you're free to do it over there.
I have a question for me, Pat, and Sam.
Pat and Sam.
So we have a Friday show in the morning. So possibly you have been missing this period on Friday.
That's definitely possible. So I think, Pat, didn't you say you were taking the test Friday after school?
Yes, I am.
Yep.
Wait, why?
Because we'll miss it during this period, and so.
But we have a show after school too.
Yeah, but the show isn't. We don't have to be there until like 6:30. So.
You're going home and then coming back to the show?
What?
You're going home and then coming back to the show?
No, I'm gonna.
He's got time though. So take it
I
out.
have 9
You have no theater obligations right after.
Everybody's.
I do. I'm also co-head of life, so we have to get life speech done too.
Okay, well, all I can tell you is you have to take this test. So, tomorrow we go to school.
You need to
do it today after school, tomorrow after school, whenever
It
you
was just this.
Okay.
Okay, I'll look you in.
All right, here we go. He's already started, I haven't started yet. PJ, we're going to complete the square. So the first thing we're going to do is divide everything by 4. So we have y over 4 equals x squared minus 2x plus 4. Now remember, we're going to complete the square, so we got to figure out a new number to add. It's not 4, so we're going to get rid of that 4. Is this where you're at?
Yes.
Good. Now, I need to add something to both sides. So remember how we find that number. We take half of this, which would be 1, and we square it, which is still 1. 1 squared is not 2. 1 squared is 1. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. That's actually a very common mistake. It's goofy. 1 squared is 1. As soon as you add that number, write this as a quantity squared. That's why you added that number, so that you could do this. So what quantity is that? X minus 1? What? And then over here we have y over 4, add those together, minus 3. Now we're going to get y by itself, so we'll add our 3 back over. And then here comes kind of a tricky step. Just do it carefully. You need to multiply by 4, right? So we're going to have y equals 4 x minus 1 squared plus 12. Don't forget, you got to multiply this by the 4 and this by the 4. Did you get it right?
Yes.
Awesome, Tex, good work. All right, who else has a problem that you think you might need just one more practice on?
The B and X,
So a variation problem. So let's say, height varies directly as pants size. All right, so height varies directly as pants size. So what will be my setup? K times X or K divided by X? Times. So height varies directly as pants. All right. If you are 6 feet tall, you wear size 8 pants. All right. Totally making all this up. If you're 6 feet tall, you wear size 8 pants. So if you are 6 feet tall, you wear size 8 pants. So K will be 6 divided by 8 or 3/4. The question is, what size pants will you wear if you are 5 feet tall? What size pants will you wear if you are 5 feet tall? So we'll go back to this equation and say 5 equals 3/4 times P. Now how will I figure out what P is? Multiply by 4/3. So P equals, now remember, when you multiply fractions, it's straight across. So that would be 20 thirds. And again, I totally made that up, so it doesn't really make sense, but that's the math. All right, we got time for one more. Yes, Gabriella?
We do the height of the wall.
Yep. So the height of the ball above the ground 2 seconds after it's thrown is given by this equation. Okay? And we want to find the maximum height. So the question is, what's the maximum height? Okay, so we need the vertex. And to get the vertex, we do negative b over 2a. So negative 32 over negative 32, so that's 1. So my vertex has an x-coordinate of 1. Then what? Plug it in. So remember, you square first. So 1 squared is 1, so that's negative 16. Plus 32, plus 15. 31. So the vertex is 1, 31. But now you have to make sure you answer the question correctly. So it said, what is the maximum height? So the answer is 31 feet. What does this 1 tell me? 1 second. So if the question had been, when does it reach its highest point? That would be 1 second. What is the highest point is 31 feet. Okay? All right. You guys were done. You can, if you feel like you're ready right now, you can take the test after school today.